Hello friends, and welcome back to Enterprise Architecture. Now, last episode we made a lot of progress in getting through our Mekanism setup and getting everything automated, and you can see that setup mostly behind me. That's about 75% of what we did. So today we are going to attempt to finish out the Mekanism quest line in this pack, which of course means we need to build a giant reactor. So, with no further ado, let's dive right in. This is where we left things last episode. We had just completed our HDPE sheets and our reprocessed fissile fragments out of our system. Those are now automated. We can make as many of those as we would like. So we are on to making polonium, and this gives us a lovely, lovely little description of how we need to do this. We need to build a gigantic reactor, and that is a traditional Mekanism reactor, not the big reactors that we have behind us here. You can kind of see through the screen there. We need to make a massive one. And as a result, that also means that we need to have a very big dynamic tank to produce water here. And that means we need to create an Evertide amulet so that we can have infinite amounts of water. So this is going to be the trick that we are going to get into today. Now, we also need to have a pipes upgrade that is the infinity upgrade, and we can now make those relatively easily with stellarium plates in our combiner, and we've already made our first one of those infinity pipe upgrades, so we should be ready to go. So let's try and remember in Mekanism how we make a reactor. So I believe the Mekanism reactor is made up of reactor blocks. Typically that's how this stuff works. So I think we need to look up the actual polonium recipe to remember which of the types of reactors that we need to make. So this uses fluorite dust and polonium, and that's just water. So polonium is made out of a solar neutron activator after we get nuclear waste. Nuclear waste we get from a fission reactor, apparently not a fusion reactor. So we need all of these pieces, and we need to make a very, very big one. So we will add all of these things to our shopping list, and we should just be able to start saying the reactor pieces that we need here and start building this out. So it looks like these are generally EMCable, which is a very, very good thing because that means we only need to make one each, and then we will have them basically forever. So let's go ahead and make the basics here. These 5 pieces that we are going to need here. We're going to need a reactor port. Okay, great. I thought I just made more casings. Let's make extra casings this time so we don't run out immediately. We're going to need a logic adapter. Is this... oh, this is for redstone, right? So we are going to need that. That'll just give us an on and off switch potentially. We are going to need a fuel assembly and the control rod assembly. I'm going to have to remember which goes where here. It's been a little while. To know which is which. Fuel rod assembly, control rod assembly. Okay, great. While we're at it, we're going to go ahead and make ourselves some reactor glass as well, because that's going to be helpful. We'll be able to see inside and know what is going on. And now we can lay this down. So I'm going to go ahead and try and make the maximum size one here, an 18 by 18. I'm also going to replace this whole setup with our giant dynamic tank that's going to be providing all of our water. So it turns out our creative world shaper does not work for this building. So we are going to have to do this the old-fashioned way, which is by hand and or with our wand. All right, I was just testing to make sure I could get the reactor figured out, and I did indeed get this to form the multi-block structure. You can see here it is ready to be enabled. We have our various inputs here, and we need to configure those. You right-click with a configurator. So for instance, this one is now going to be output waste. These are all inputs. So this is going to input our fuel. This is going to input our water. Over here, we also have an output of coolant and another input so we can add more returned coolant back into the system. So that's going to be how this is actually going to work. Now, this is different than the extreme reactors or bigger reactors in that the actual control rod assembly is one block down from the top, not actually in the actual casing. All right, and there are our fuel rods inserted into it. I do want to mention here that I did make this too big to start. I started with 18 by 18 because I know that that's the Mekanism limit, but this has to be an odd number of blocks, I believe, for both the turbine and the reactor. I'm not positive, but I'm relatively sure that that is the case. So this is actually a 17 by 17 by 17 machine instead. All right, so we are on to making our Mekanism tank. So for that, we need to make ourselves some dynamic valves for getting our fluid out of that. And we also are going to need to make structural glass here, which is really simple. That's just steel and our glass. And then, of course, we had already made dynamic tanks earlier. That was that weird recipe where we had to use the combiner to add steel to our fluid tanks. So that was a strange one. But we have plenty of these now. These are all EMC-able, so we are good to go. So let's go ahead and get started on setting ourselves up with a dynamic tank. Now, I believe what we're going to do here is just create a 13 by 13 one to start. So let's find the dead center here. I think it's going to be here and here. There we go. And if it's a 13 by 13 tank, then that means we go 6 in each direction. 3, 4, 5, 6. And there we go. There is our dynamic tank all done, and that did form the multi-block. There we go. We can see that that is good to go. So now to fill this with infinite amounts of water, we have to follow the instructions we were given. We need to do two things. First, we need to make ourselves an Evertide amulet. This is a Project E ingredient, and we can use this actually to make infinite water anywhere that we are. Now, we can make that really easily because we already have plenty of dark matter. And of course, we have plenty of buckets of water thanks to Project E. So now all we have to do is come over here into the input slot and throw this. And this immediately, as you can see, fills with huge, huge amounts of water. Now, we had made ourselves one of our infinite upgrades here. Where did I put that? There's our infinity pipe upgrade. We are going to need 2 of those, as it turns out. So we need to grab another stellarium plate out of this. There's one there. And of course, you know what? Actually, we should go ahead and use all 4 of these in a combiner. So let's go ahead and grab our ultimate pipe upgrades. I think we have these in here. Ultimate, yeah, there it is. It's right in front of me. So let's grab 3 of those, and let's drop this into our combiner and make all of these up. Ultimate combining factory. There we go. We're going to auto sort. Let's put 3 pipe upgrades, 3 stellarium plates, and get this thing done. And very quickly there we have all 3 of those infinite pipe upgrades. Wonderful. Now we can come back over here to where we had previously set this up for our other reactor, and we can now run our fluid pipes into this, and we will hopefully never run out of water again. So let's go ahead and we'll just input it here. Why not? We'll do multiple inputs. We can do, it's an infinity upgrade. We can do all the inputs we want. I don't think there's going to be a limit here, but for whatever reason, I'm just going to do this because it looks nice and pretty. And now we need to grab our pipe wrench. Our pipe wrench will allow us to pull out of this tank. And then on this side, we are going to put in one of our infinity pipe upgrades. Wonderful. So this should now be completely filled with water. We're going to do the same thing on this side. We're going to go to our tank and we're going to pull out of this, just like this, into our input slot that we put together earlier. And this is also going to be an infinity upgrade right here. And that is now going to pull infinite water into here. Oh, and as you can see, that worked almost too well. This is a little bit more complicated because of the way that this pack is set up. We need to make polonium here, which we're going to put into our nuclear activator, our neutron activator. That means we need nuclear waste. Nuclear waste out of a fission reactor can be generated in a couple of different ways. But the way that we have it here, we're going to need fissile fuel either way. So in this case, we're doing this reactor here with steam. So we need to go ahead and make fissile fuel. Now, fissile fuel we actually make in the chemical oxidizer using that reprocessed fissile fragments that we had been making in bulk previously. Now, uranium hexafluoride is the normal way to do this, but that's not what we have. So we need to make ourselves a chemical oxidizer and pump this in. So let's do that real quick. One chemical oxidizer coming up. I think we have all of these ingredients with no problem. Oh, with the exception of a chest. How have we not taught chests to this thing, right? Is it just a standard, any sort of, no. No, this needs a personal barrel or a personal chest. That we can make real easy. There we go. Okay, and now this we should be able to make. All right. Perfect. I don't know why it needed that specific type of chest, but whatever. We will live with it. So to set this up, let's put our oxidizer directly onto our reactor, and let's put our exporter onto that, right? So right here. Then our importer actually needs to stay in the same place because this is going to pull the waste out. Oh, but that's wrong because this is going to export liquid waste. So we're going to have to figure out a way to deal with that. The current way that we are going to deal with that, we're going to put it in a tank. That's how we're going to handle this. We're going to put an ultimate fluid tank down, and I think that's going to be able to hold our waste coming out of that reactor. And then, of course, the last thing we need to do here is finish connecting our cables up just like this. Okay. So now we need to go back and get our reprocessed fissile fuel from the system, and we cannot EMC that. So let's see if we can't find that fissile fuel. There we go. We're just going to take one of these. We're going to leave the rest in there. And this we are going to bring over to our system here. We're going to tell the exporter, we want you to export fissile fuel. And it sounds like that's already working here. We're going to clear this out, make sure the input here and output here, and auto eject. And if I did that right, it should be pumping that back into this system. The only thing this is missing, of course, is power. I had accidentally connected it wrong earlier, but we're going to add a flux point on top, and that's going to solve that real quick. There we go. Now it's doing its thing. It's dumping into this machine. Now I'm going to activate this for just a second, and it's immediately going to overheat. So just bear with me, but we want to see that in action. Yeah, so that is massively gaining heat, and there is our nuclear waste coming out of it. All right. So that is what we want to see. So we need to set up, number one, our turbine for cooling here. We are going to just keep this as a water cooled one for now, but I'm going to build our turbine over here and run the pipes up and around. And we are doing that so that we don't have to worry so much about it. But we do eventually want to make sodium and make a sodium cooled reactor here. Also, our other reactor on the backside there, I want that to be sodium cooled as well. That's why we left room for a heat exchanger. But today we're just focused on the turbine platform. So next we need to make our turbine, and this is going to work exactly how we did this in an episode 2-3 episodes ago when we built the turbine using bigger reactors. So we need to make some turbine casing blocks. Let's make a few here. We need to make ourselves a turbine valve, again, very simple, using our advanced control circuits. We're going to need a turbine vent. There we go, just like that. We're going to need a turbine rotor, and we are going to need turbine blades. So those are going to be the things that are getting spinned. Now, these do work a little bit different because we do need also this rotational complex. That's going to be a piece of this here. And then these also have these electromagnetic turbine things. Let's see here. It's Mekanism generators. Where is that? Turbine vent, saturating condenser. Oh, we need these because these are going to condense the steam back into water. We're going to want to make some of those. Give me that. And we are just about out of inventory space, but there's one more piece of this puzzle. What is that thing called? The electromagnetic coil. Right. Okay, we need that. So we start this build pretty much the same way we did the other two that we've already done. So I'm just going to do this real quick and get it filled in with our turbine and our glass here. So let's see here. This is something called something different. This is turbine casing. There we go. So let's grab up a bunch of that. All right, there is our frame. Let's see if I can get this thing built right the first time. I often struggle with trying to build these things, as you all know. We need the turbine rotor, which is that thing, and we need the turbine blade, which is that thing. So we want the turbine rotor to basically go up roughly a third of the way up this machine. And we need to make sure we're right in the center with that. So this is a 17 big machine, 17 by 17, so that should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. That is right. So we want to go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9 is going to be the middle here. And then it looks like we are over 1 from that middle. This is why I put those blocks on the ground originally to make it easier to see where exactly the middle is. I should really do that on these side edges. That would have been smart, but I did not. All right, so since this is 17 tall, we want this to roughly be 2/3 of that, right? So we're gonna make this roughly 10 blocks tall, and I've already lost track. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I think 10 is gonna be the maximum I'm gonna be able to do here. So on top of that, we are gonna add our turbine blades. These are just gonna stack up here. And that should be as many as we can fit in this space. Now we put our rotational complex on top of that. Rotational, there we go, rotational complex. There we go. And now here's where this gets interesting. So this thing, instead of just spinning itself, it needs to have magnet blocks up here, electromagnets to basically use that rotational force to turn into power, because you're just basically turning a coil inside, a copper coil inside of a magnet. That's basically how we generate power. We forgot one other block that we need to make, which is the pressure disperser. This is something that's in base Mekanism, not in the generators, which is why I missed it the first time around. So let's go ahead and grab those up. There we go. There is a stack of pressure dispersers. We might actually need more than a stack though, but let's go ahead and try and set this up and see if this works. The pressure dispersers go on this same level as the rotational complex. So we are going to just fill this whole thing in with just these, and these are going to be basically the permeable barrier that allows steam to go into the upper, or keep steam from going to the upper areas, but actually is how we make sure that it goes into the electromagnetic coils that are generating power. So we're just going to fill all of this in with these real fast. Now, on top of that layer, we need electromagnetic coils, and we honestly don't need that many of them, if I remember correctly. I think 5 is actually enough for this whole system. So let's go ahead and just put these in place here. Just like that. And now the last thing we need to do here, I think, is to fill the rest of this with our saturating condensers. These are going to be how we actually get the water, the steam turned back into water. So I think if I did this right, these should be all we need in here. Oh, I think I was wrong about this. I think that you have to have the vents. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove all of this casing on the top and instead put vents in place. All right, so back to the pipes mod. We here have the gas pipe, and again, we needed Mekanism to make the infused alloy for those anyway. So let's go ahead and grab those up, teach it to our system, and then we should be able to make ourselves 2 stacks of those. I don't think I need 2 stacks of those actually. I probably only need 1, because now we have just learned basically that only the output here matters. So we really only care about the output of the coolant in this system. So this input we don't need to worry about. So let's go ahead and line this up. We are going to adjust this pipe to output, and while we're here, we're going to put our infinity pipe upgrade in there just so we don't forget. And then we're going to bring this all the way over and insert it into that port there. So the steam should flow out of that, water should flow into this, and then it should get vented up and out the top of that thing. So with any luck, I should be able to activate this. The water should be turning into steam. That temperature is going up pretty quickly. All right, I think I just had to disconnect the pipes and reconnect the pipes, because now we are indeed getting a decent amount of our flow of our steam in here. It doesn't look like we are producing that much power yet, and it doesn't even look like this is animated, but that's slowly going. But the production rate is not especially very good here. We're only getting 5,000 KFE, so or 5 KFE, so 5,000 FE per tick. That is not a heck of a lot here. So we might need to rethink this or bring the vents down another layer just so that we can handle more venting of more of this air that's coming out here. All right, so now what we need to do is to wire our turbine into our power network. So we're gonna go ahead and use our nitro cables for now. We probably should see if there's a higher tier above nitro. I seem to remember that we can go way beyond nitro here. So let's go ahead and grab these up and put them over here until this runs all the way over there and to our power network. let's go into Mekanism and get those nuclear waste barrels. So let's see here, nuclear explosive. Somewhere in here, I'm relatively sure that there was a waste barrel. Yeah, there we go, radioactive waste barrel. Okay, so let's make a couple of these up. Wonderful. I'm not sure if we are gonna need to use more than one of these, but I think we have all of the ingredients to make it. It's just HDPE pellets, or sheets, excuse me, for that. All right, so there's one of these. And we ideally should just take our nuclear waste right out of here and stick it into this thing. We want to pull that off of here, and that's gonna go into a neutron activator here. Yeah, so it is a gas pipe. Now we should be able to start pulling out of there into this, the solar neutron activator. I think the side config is already set right, and we just need this to have an ultimate pipe upgrade to start pulling that out. Oh, there we go. Okay, I just needed to configure that side so it'll actually input. So now we are definitely getting nuclear waste in here, and that is being turned quickly into polonium for us. Actually, very, very rapidly here. So rapidly that this machine apparently doesn't even take upgrades. So that's wonderful. All right, and so both of these are producing radioactivity. Polonium, yeah, that produces a whole lot more radioactivity. So now we just need to figure out how we make polonium pellets out of that polonium fluid. And it looks like we need this, a pressurized reaction chamber with some water in it. So, and that's gonna then turn into spent nuclear waste, which, as it turns out, there's nothing else you can do with it. Spent nuclear waste, you're just stuck with forever. So we're gonna have to think about what we're gonna do with that. So let's go ahead and set up this pressurized reaction chamber, another PRC over here. So pressurized reaction chamber, there we go. Let's bring this over just a little bit. And again, I'm trying to keep this all relatively close together so any nuclear spillover isn't causing us any worries. We are going to clear out all of these. We want, no, why is my repair token out? No, we want fluids. And I think this only inputs, so we don't need to worry about outputs. All right, so maybe as a gas this will work. It looks like it's pulling the nuclear waste back out, and the polonium is now going in. This is going to need power, so we need a flux point on that. Let's put that on top, just like that. And we are gonna go ahead and set the network. Good, okay, just like that. And then the only thing that this is now missing is water. And thankfully we have a very, very large source of water immediately nearby here. So let's go along the front here and add our water in just like that. And it looks like it's getting water. There is water in polonium, and all is good with the world. Now, the only trick here is that we need 1,000 millibuckets of polonium to make a single polonium pellet. And ideally, we just need one. That's all we need, is just one, because look at that. We're gonna have plenty of EMC off of that, and we will be able to make an infinite amount of these. So we just need that first one here, and that's just gonna take a little while. All right, so while we're waiting for the polonium to process, I'm tinkering with our other reactor here. I added a redstone port to it and put a button on that so that we can change some of the values here. For instance, the control rod insertion. As you all maybe remember me complaining about a couple of episodes ago, setting all of the control rods manually takes forever. This allows you to just set the value, and when you click that button, it'll change all of the insertion to that number. So I've got it set to 99% insertion, which means basically no fuel being spent at all. And you can see all of these numbers are going down very, very quickly. The temperature is dropping, and that means that we are now cooling at a rate that actually makes sense. So we can continue tinkering with that setting until we get to an equilibrium point here where we actually have the steam being produced at a rate that spins these at exactly an ideal speed. So right now, for instance, this is at 1700 RPM. We want those in multiples of 900. So 1800, right now, this is exactly peak speed. That is the best production of power we are going to get. So we need to wait for that temperature to level out on the other side to make sure that we are tweaking that up and down until the steam production balances this production to exactly that speed, or 2700, whatever it happens to be. All right, and while we're waiting for everything else to finish up, let's go ahead and try and knock off as much of the recurrent complex items as we can. So melodic and stellar integral components are still on our list. So I think we should be able to do that now, right? So let's see here, melodic components. Yeah, we make that with melodium, which I believe we have some laying around. We need to make some prismalium gears, which shouldn't be too much of a trouble. Oh, what are we missing for that? We are missing a netherite gear. Okay, and that can only be made in a multi-servo press. All right, I don't love it, but we'll take it. So let's add that to our list. And we'll make a multi-servo press real quick. I don't think we made these before. Let's just put this down on our system. We'll just drop it like right here. That seems like a fine place for it. We are then going to need a gear press here. And how do we make those? Invar plates and diamond gears. No problem. We've got that. Throw this in here. And now we should be able to make our prismalium gear. So let's go ahead and grab the netherite that we're going to need. Let's see here. We're going to need actually twice as many of those, right? So let's grab more netherite here. Netherite. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And put these into our press. So that should give us 2. And that's just way too slow. Way too slow. Come on. There we go, 2 netherite gears, and then we should be able to use those to make our prismalium gears. Okay, one more. Perfect. Okay, so with those in hand, is that everything that we need? I think it is. Okay, wonderful. So there's melodic, and then the melodic we should be able to use to make our stellar. We just need aluminum plates. Do we have those laying around? We do not. And we do have melodium, as mentioned. Let's grab our melodium. Again, regular recipe, 1, 2, oh, we need one more, don't we? All right, well, let's go ahead and craft melodium, because we can do that now. All right, crafting up some more melodium ingots, then we can use those to make our melodium gears, again, in our multi-servo press. Let's drop over here, throw these in here, speed it up. Didn't mean to turn around. There we go, 2 melodium gears, drop those in here, and then, with any luck, we just need the aluminum plates. So let's go ahead and grab aluminum out of our system. I believe we have a bunch, that's right, we made a bunch earlier. Go back to our multi-servo press, pull the gear working die out, and these should get smooshed into plates. Wonderful. All right, those go into the system, we use this, we now have a stellarium integral component, and we are good on that quest line. All these are done. All right, let's double back to power. I think uranite is the only thing we are missing here. Uranite. And is that uraninite? Uraninite. Okay, whatever that is, that's the thing we are missing here. How do we make that? Raw uraninite, energized uranium. Oh, and that's cheap. That's super cheap. So all we need to do is go into either of our systems, grab a piece of uranium. Sure, that'll do. And then just plop it right on here. Immediately, that turns into uraninite, and we will teach that to our system. What do we even use that for? What can we use this thing for? A spirited reactor? Oh, this is a power reactor. I gotcha. And we need to make this thing, the nitro reactor, at some point. Now buckets. We need quartz, silver, gold, emerald, and diamond. Okay, so let's do those in order. Quartz. Okay, great. We need silver. Well, that's not how you spell silver. Oh, do we not have silver in here? I know we have silver in our system somewhere because I made a boatload of it. That's not a problem. We will just take 3 ingots out. And that should be in our old system. Like, we have so much of that. That should be left over. How about gold? Is gold in here? Of course there's gold in here. No problem. There's gold in these there hills. Okay. And now we need emerald. Good. And last but not least, we are going to make diamond. Diamond. Oh, and we don't have regular diamonds in here. Okay, not a problem, not a problem. Let's grab up a bunch of diamonds. We're going to throw that into our system just to have it laying around on hand. There we go. Now we have all of those completed. All of these lovely buckets. And this holds how many? How many? It says 0 of 10. I'm not sure how that works. Well, I don't think we need any of these buckets. I'll hold on to the diamond one just in case, but we're going to drop everything else off over here. Just throw that in my inventory just in case we need it. Okay, good to go. What else do we have here? Dank. Dank is for storage. We have the compact machines. I actually made these earlier, but it didn't give me credit. Iron chests. We actually made these and didn't get credit for it. Let's do the cobble gens. I think that's the way to go. So the last couple that we're missing there, cobble gen, we need the tier 5 cobble gen, and I think we have access to everything for that. Good. And now there should be a creative cobbler here. So, oh, we need another stellarite plate. Right. Okay, so let's grab the stellarium. We make that plate how? Multi-servo press. You know what? It occurs to me we had already made a multi-servo press. I completely forgot about this. I didn't realize we already had one, but that's fine. How else were we getting those plates? Yeah, very silly of me. All right, take that, and then we're going to take our combining factory, and we're going to do this again. Use this weird little recipe here, slowly but surely, and that's going to give us a cobbler. That's going to give us more cobblestone than we know what to do with. I honestly don't know what I would do with that anyway, but there we go. Now we have a cobbler. With that done, we'll go through and grab up the chests. Let's grab the iron chest. We'll do that. Gold chest, like that. Diamond chest, like that. And then what are we missing? Obsidian and crystal. Okay, so then we need to make obsidian chest, just like that. And somewhere in here, there's our crystal chest. Oh, and now that's missing a diamond chest. All right, so we just need to go all the way back to diamond and remake this. There's diamond, and then there is crystal. Okay, great. So now we have these two types of chests. We'll teach these to our system too, just for the heck of it. We're not going to be using them for anything. All right, let's run through Dank real quick. I've never actually used Dank storage. I will be the first to admit I don't really know much about it, but we're just gonna pop through this very, very quickly here. Dank 2 is with redstone. Great. Dank 3 is the gold blocks. Dank 4 is emerald blocks. 5, I assume, is diamond. Yes, that's correct. 6, obsidian. Okay. And 7 is nether stars. And we actually have like infinite nether stars. So that's no longer even an issue. That holds, what? A lot of items, I guess. Okay, so now we have dank storage as well. We're going to add that to the rest of these things that we aren't really using. 3 million EMC. Let's drop it in here. You never know when that might come in handy for something. I'm not sure what we'll use it for. All right. So last but not least, let's go to our compact machines. Compact machines. We will start with the tiny one. Oh, what are we missing for that? Block of copper. All right. 1 block of copper, no problem. There we go. 1 tiny compact machine. Next, a small. I think we know how to make blocks of iron. We're good. Blocks of gold for the next one up, the normal. The large uses obsidian. Easy for us as well. Diamond, I assume, is going to be next. And probably emerald. Ooh, netherite. Netherite blocks we don't know how to make yet. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and make one, throw it into the system, and immediately use it. There we go. Not a lot of call for blocks of netherite. And there we go. Completed all the recurrent complex stuff. All right, we still don't have enough polonium. This might be something that has to wait for the next episode. Unfortunately, I think we are just out of time for today, and this is still only at, 630. So I tell you what we're gonna do. I'm gonna let this run in the background while I do some other cleanup around here, and we will pick that up at the beginning of next episode. So for now, that's the end of this episode. If you do like what I'm doing on this channel, please remember to click the like button there below, friends. I really appreciate when you do that. And also, if you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel. All of those numbers certainly help me out in the long run. Also, if you see something that I'm doing silly here, please do leave me a comment and let me know how I can do things better. I'm sure I miss things all the time. Y'all leave me great comments that really help me improve how I play this game, how I'm generally developing as a content creator. All these things I really appreciate from y'all. So please keep the comments coming. Love to hear from you. Otherwise, we're going to call that the end of the episode for today. So, thanks again for watching Enterprise Architecture, and we'll see you back here next time. Bye, friends!